And he was like, you know, 11.
Brad Wyman was, I was 19, Brad was about 21, and he was working for this old-time producer named Elliot Kastner, and he had just gotten a chance to produce his first movie that Elliot financed. Elliot was financing a lot of small movies. So this guy, John Lau, who read the script, gave it to Brad, said, this movie our company doesn't want to make, it'll probably never get made, but if you are trying to get interesting movies produced, check it out, you might like it. And Brad liked it, and he tracked me down, and he met with me, and he told me he wanted to produce the movie, and in doing so wanted to help me find the financing to get it made.
I told him I wanted to make it. I told him I'd go get the money, you know, and let's do it. And he left and thought about it and called me back in 2 days and passed.
And I initially passed on Brad. And I don't really remember exactly why.
You know, I never even know why he passed. I never even asked why he passed, but he passed. And she said, and I wrote him a letter. You know, I just wrote a little, like, one-page letter. I just said, it's a marvelous script. You know, you're a great young talent. Thank you for having the opportunity to meet you and read the script. And I think I said something like, your future will be anything but dark and backward. And then I think as the story goes, you know, and now we've become friends and friends with his family and his mother. Originally asked the phone, she said, like, Adam, maybe you should call this guy back. You know, maybe you should go see him again. So he came in and said, let's do it.
I met with Brad and he said, okay, let's try and find money to get the movie made. And at the time, we were trying to make the movie, I was trying to make the movie in black and white. That was very important to me at the time, that it be in black and white. I don't know why that was as important to me then as it was, but I was dead set on it being in black and white.
As you can see, it's a wonderfully colorful picture.
Come and do it on the Twinkie Show.
Doesn't not feel grimy, or, you know, feels just like it should. You know, it's like almost sweating the picture. And so, you know, we could tell the tale just fine in color. And so, you know, I was young and we make mistakes, you know, as we go through it. And, but ultimately we raised the money and shot it, so.
Brad, at the time we were trying to get the movie made, the Brat Pack were big stars, right? And Brad was friends with all the Brat Pack actors. And he had given the script to Judd Nelson. Judd Nelson read it and liked it and said, I want to star in this movie.
Brad Wyman, a longtime friend of mine, had this script, and he said, it's this fascinating script. Do you want to read it? I go, sure. I read it and I loved it. I loved it right away. Adam Rifkin wrote the whole solar system of the Dark Backward. And I was just drawn to the character of Marty Malt. I told Brad I love it, I want to do it. And the first resistance I met was, you know, from Adam.
No way. Absolutely not. Judd Nelson cannot play this role. This role is meant to be this sniveling, pathetic nerd. And Judd Nelson, as I saw it, was this tough kid from The Breakfast Club and some other movies like it. And I didn't see how he could ever play a convincing geek. But he was dead set on convincing me that he was right for the part.
I had to convince him through a long process of, I had Adam write me 10 minutes worth of comedy jokes, material, and we went around town and I performed it. And I performed it with complete face makeup.
So we initially went to a few open mic nights, and people recognized him. Even though he had like a bad wig on and a cheap suit on, people recognized him, right? So then he got really in disguise. At one point he did it with a clown face, and I don't know, he disguised himself really, really well.
I was unrecognizable as anyone else, like white face, like a clown nose, a wig. And we found out that if I went up and did these Marty Malt jokes in total makeup, no one knew who I was, but in between real comics, like on a professional night at the Comedy Store, people laughed. Anyway, like they thought they were supposed to laugh, like it's Andy Kaufman or it's like Emo Phillips or something. So we decided that we would only go on amateur nights. And eventually I got it to the point where at a small place in Culver City, I went up there and did the act, what Adam had written for me, about 10 minutes worth of stuff. I'd always worked on it to like how it's written in the script, that there's a mic stand, and I walk to the mic stand. So at this place, they go, the comedy stylings of Mr. Marty Malt. I walk up there and he hands me a microphone. Well, I don't know what to do holding a microphone. So I'm looking around the stage and I see way over in the corner of the stage is the mic stand. So I walk over there and put the mic there and start my jokes there. I'm not even facing the people, and I'm not in any light. So you gotta move the light over to me, find me. I do the act. No one boos, no one coughs, no one laughs, no one heckles, no one, it's complete silence for the whole act.
And when we really saw what real audiences were like when he was telling those jokes and how badly it all went over, it was so funny to us. We thought it was really funny. There was one there was one time that we went to some open mic night where he would tell these jokes, nobody laughed, people were starting to get hostile. And then he said goodnight and walked off the stage. And the guy who came up, the announcer, he said, okay, let's hear it for Marty Malt. What the fuck was that? It was really funny.
I go back, Adam and I run outside and go, yeah, I go, okay, is that Marty? He goes, oh, yes, you can do it now.
So I cast him.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Marty Malt.
And that actually started a whole new set of adventures that, because, you know, prior to this, it was, you know, it was lots of, you know, trying to get the movie made and getting kicked out of people's offices and people being upset that we would submit this sub-professional script and stuff like that. So then once we had him involved, everybody wanted to read the script again, everybody wanted to get involved, everybody wanted to finance the movie until they read the script. They said they didn't want to do it when they read the script.
Incredible difficulty we all had in trying to get money to make this film. I mean, they'll spend hundreds of millions of dollars on crap. And this is a very wonderfully crafted script and story, an allegory, a metaphor, however you want to see it. And it just, we worked real hard trying to get like the $7 to make it.
Subsequently, we got financing from a company that I believe never read the script. I believe they saw the budget, Judd Nelson, they were cranking out a whole slew of small movies. It was the same company at the time that had produced and had great success with Sex, Lies, and Videotape. And because of the success of that movie, they just put into production a slate of movies, a whole bunch of movies, and ours was one of them. And I really think they just saw Judd Nelson, affordable budget, boom, this much on video, this much cable sale, we're going to make our money back on foreign, okay, go ahead, make it. They didn't know what we were making, they didn't read the script, they didn't care. I believe once they saw the finished film, they hated it.
Yeah! Oh, yeah! Oh, yeah!
We got, you know, and we got Bill Paxton, who was, nobody else could have played that role. I mean, I wanted Bill Paxton because of 3 roles. I wanted him because of Near Dark, Chet from Weird Science, and from Aliens. Those 3 performances told me that nobody could play the role of Gus other than Bill Paxton. Gus is actually based on a real person named Brian Belknap, who I grew up with, who, in my growing up, I mean, it's hard to believe, looking at Bill Paxton's performance, that anybody could really be like that in real life, but Brian Belknap was the real-life Gus. And he's somewhere in Northern California, I believe, and I don't know if he's still the same kind of guy. I don't know if he's mellowed or not, but I mean, he wore the orange jumpsuit everywhere, and he had an accordion slung over his shoulders, and he was loud and crazy, and I really based that character on this guy.
I'm trying to remember, it's because it's been a while, but I remember, my basic memory is reading the script, and I thought it was very original, and I loved, it was almost like a dream memory of kind of my own childhood in a way. It had this weird 50s sensibility kind of turned on its ear, and this kind of cartoon sensibility. Then I went in and I met Adam Rifkin and Brad Wyman, and I liked them both. I saw they had a great camaraderie, and I don't know, it just seemed like a crazy thing to do.
He so became Gus. I'll put it to you this way. there was a point where Bill became, I mean, when we were making the movie, Bill was not acting like Gus. He had taken on the aura of Gus without even, he wasn't putting it on anymore in the morning and taking it off at night. One day we were shooting the scene in the alleyway where he's literally picking up garbage with his hands, right? I mean, the garbage is filling the alley, you know the scene, and they're trying to get garbage into the truck and barely any of it gets in the truck. And we were shooting that in a filthy, stinking, human shit strewn alley in downtown LA, right? It was awful. And his hands were covered with garbage and shit and who knows what. And then when it came time for lunch, he didn't even wash his hands before he started eating lunch.
I don't remember. I said something about in the meeting that Gus was kind of like this. The character of Gus in The Dark Backwards I played was kind of like this cockroach character. You know, he was going to be the guy that survived the bomb, and we just really hit it off.
I always wanted Paxton to play Gus because I knew that Marty is kind of passive and a lot of bad things happen to Marty, and that I have a lot of energy, just as a general thing, a bit wacky. So I knew that playing a character that's, I'm going to kind of create a hole and then fall in it and die, kind of, and it's going to suck a lot of energy out of the scenes. Like I'd be like the black hole of acting, and I needed someone that was going to be able to just have so much, you know, thrust that balanced the scene. I knew Paxton would just be magnificent, and he is. It
was just one of those things we all jumped into, and then Judd was doing it. I knew Judd going back to my New York days. We were both in school at the same time. He was kind of in the class behind me at NYU.
We studied with Stella Adler. So we both are from that same school, sort of not really together, but about around the same time. We had a lot of mutual friends. So we had a similar vocabulary for understanding how to approach a character or break down a script, and that, you know, that kind of shorthand is always helpful.
I'd met him again kind of through the whole John Hughes connection. By then I had done Weird Science, and obviously he'd done The Breakfast Club, and so we had, and I think we kind of dated the same gal for a while, and so we kind of knew each other a little bit. And I liked his work, and then I heard about some of the other actors that they were getting for this thing. It was wild, James Caan, and then when I heard Wayne Newton, I had to meet Wayne Newton, so I guess I signed up for Wayne Newton, basically.
What's the matter? You don't know anything about comedy? It's called pacing. That slob.
We had offered Wayne Newton a cameo in the movie because we didn't think that Wayne would want to be in the movie.
I read the script, and I thought, I've missed something here. And I read it again, and I was sure that I'd missed something. And I read it a third time. And I then had several people read it, and they all said, we don't understand it. And I said, I think I do. And so I called Brad Wyman for the first time, introduced myself.
And he contacted us back within a couple days, I mean, very few days, and said that he would do it if he could play the role of Jackie Crome, which is one of the three leads.
And I said, I would love to do the role of the agent, because I understood that agent very, very well. I'd seen so many of those kind of guys throughout my career. And he said, okay, you got it.
And we were all shocked because we never in a million years would have thought that he would have played the part. And he wouldn't take money to be in the movie. He paid for his own motorhome. He paid for his own travel to and from Las Vegas. And he was a phenomenal actor. He knew his lines backwards and forwards.
I forgot how great Wayne is. I mean, Wayne Newton, I mean, what a performance. He carries the whole climax on the phone. It's just, you know, it's like, you know, I sat at my wife had never seen it, you know, because it's 15 years old, you know, and she's watching it with me and she's going, he's great.
He completely appreciated the sort of old-timey showbiz vibe that we were going for. He was 100% game.
Wayne Newton is such a pro that you don't realize. You know, they go, Wayne Newton, Wayne Schmooten, whatever. What a stud, what a great guy. He was so incredibly nice. He came and rolled up his sleeves he's playing Jackie Chrome. You know, Jackie Chrome, not such a great guy, you know, but Wayne's got such a big heart. He infuses this character that maybe at the first read you might think is a scumbag into this. Well, I mean, you know, there is something to be said for the scum-like quality of agents. Hey, sorry, but and he just really, he was gung ho. He was ready. It's like it wasn't his first mountain to climb. You know what I mean? He had already trained at altitude. You know what I mean? He was like, "Let's go. Who needs the Sherpas? Let's go." He was so willing. He was so personable, so approachable. He had great ideas. Also, in the same world of the Dark Backward, it's like, damn. His clothes that Jackie Chrome wears, I think some of them might have been Wayne's. You know what I mean? There were some colors. I don't know if they're found in nature. I really don't think they are.
That was, I think, Adam's idea. Yeah, Adam wanted Jackie to be a little more flamboyant than I thought of him. I thought of him maybe a little more subdued, and his flamboyance was almost introspective as opposed to being overt, you know. And Adam saw him a lot more gregarious and a lot more the real, almost cliche of an agent. And so I hope that I was able to rise to that occasion.
And there was just great, and with a name like Jackie Chrome, you figure, and Wayne brought all that to it. Also, Wayne is so much physically more imposing than I thought he was. I mean, Wayne, at however old he is right now today, could easily kick my ass. I so do not want my ass kicked by Wayne Newton, but he could. I just didn't get my ass kicked by him because he chose not to. In that scene in the movie when he turns me around, throws me up against the wall, it's like, man, I was like, yeah, he could have killed me. But it's like that quality that he has that it's like you go, oh wow, it's like a black belt as well, which means he has that discipline in terms of his physicality.
And then after the movie was done, we all became friends with Wayne Newton, and we used to go to Vegas and watch his shows, and he'd put us up in the Elvis suite at the Hilton Hotel, which was an amazing perk. It was really fun. He's an amazing and hilarious guy, and it was I just couldn't believe that he was in the movie. When we were shooting the movie, I couldn't believe it, you know.
Hey, you mind if I eat this chicken?
It's been there for quite a while.
That's okay, I don't care.
I do remember, I think it may have been the first day of photography that we got Gus going into the refrigerator and eating that rotten chicken.
The chicken, yes, I remember the chicken scene well.
So I remember having about 6,000 feet of the rotten chicken. Gus eating the rotten chicken. 6,000 feet is well over an hour. And just having to plow through all of this, and it's revolting to watch.
I pull out this chicken, and what the chicken consisted of, I mean, it looks like an old rotting, you know, carcass sitting there. It looks like it's been in there for like 5 months. It's just got mold and stuff all over it. And I'm talking to Judd about something, you know, and I put this thing in front of me.
And we built meat around the bones out of oatmeal and then painted it with baby food. The consistency, we could make it look a lot like chicken, but the consistency could be really disgusting.
And I remember every take I would gag. And it wasn't because I didn't like oatmeal, but it was almost an animal reflex that as I was talking, I'd bite into this, I had this drumstick in my hand, I'd bite into it. And because the consistency was mealy, the governor that we all have was saying, don't eat this. And I actually got dry heaves while I was shooting the scene, and I think it's in the movie. You see me kind of choke one back. You know, I got that bile right in the back of my throat just talking about it. But I remember every time, and I thought, this is weird. I'm not controlling this. When I bite into that, for some reason, my mind could not get around the fact that it was a prop, that it was oatmeal. It just, every time I bit it, I gagged.
You know, Bill's character, the character of Gus, I see as he's like a human cockroach. He just thrives on this garbage. Right? That's the idea. So he eats anything. He'll fuck anything.
Let's get naked!
He'll He'll sleep in trash. He's filthy. He doesn't care. He's a human cockroach. That's the idea.
I have favorite scenes of Bill. One of them is with the very overweight ladies. And the kind of food that they were eating in that scene, I don't know how Bill got through that. I'm not sure I could have.
That was something. That was something. Let's see. There were 3 gals.
The 3 big women were, one of them was an actress that had been in a movie that Brad had just produced, which is how I met her. And she's the one who plays Bill Paxton's girlfriend. And the other 2 came from the porn world.
More movement.
Unbelievable.
Moving around.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Whoa. 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 Come on, Marty. Join us. It's great. Well, I remember that day. It was on a set. I think most of the interiors were shot in an old Beacon's warehouse down in Santa Monica, off of Colorado. And I remember that 2 of the gals did adult films. And I remember shooting the scene where I'd climb up on the trunk and I'd say something like, let's get naked. And I pretend like I'm diving into a pool of flesh, basically. And God, and I remember 2 of the gals were ready to, because we were doing an orgy scene, they were ready to go all out. And one gal started kind of reaching for me and trying to kind of get a hold of me there. And I was kind of waiting for Adam to yell, cut. I didn't want to break character or anything, but it was getting really uncomfortable. And Adam obviously was enjoying this, enjoying my discomfort. And finally he yelled, cut. And I pulled him aside. The actress in the scene, who wasn't an adult actress, the other gal, I forget which one she played, she got very upset. I remember Adam having to calm her down. She was saying, I'm a professional actress, this is unprofessional. Meanwhile, I go to Adam, I'm going, look, I'm pretty good to go here, but this is getting a little crazy. You gotta, and then he goes, hey, did you see this thing here? And shows me a booklet of these gals, or one of the gals, with these kind of skinny guys. It was a bit hair-raising. No, I remember after that one take in that orgy scene, and I remember going up to Adam and saying to him, I understand what the world of the dark backwards looks like. Now I know what it smells like.
Here comes Daddy, you 3 little vixens.
So the scene calls for Bill Paxton to find the corpse of a young girl in the garbage dump.
My son I think, is most affected by the dead girl in the garbage dump towards the beginning of the movie.
And you think the movie at this point is going to take a turn in this direction. That the music shifts a little bit, it gets a little ominous. He sees a hand in the dumpster. He uncovers the body in the dumpster. And I was hoping that you would think, okay, this is going to be a movie about a murder mystery or something. But instead, he fondles the corpse and then covers it back up, and then you just forget about it, right?
What was wonderful about that moment was it was really the demarcation. I mean, that was one of those moments where people hit the aisles. The people that stay, they're in for the ride. But that was the moment that kind of separates the audience in a way. A lot of people after that were ready to head out to the exit.
And we all watched the movie again, last week, 2 weeks ago, and we had to do our voiceover commentary underneath it and stuff, and we watched the movie. It's a pretty good movie. It's a pretty good movie, and it holds up.
And also too, another reason why this movie's sort of my sentimental favorite of all the things I've made or written, is because it was my first script. It really was void of any Hollywood industry influence. You know what I mean? I didn't know anybody. I didn't know how to pursue getting real movies made. I didn't know any thing about the way the business worked other than what I had seen in other movies or read in books. And so it really was purely, it was a pure sort of script because it was not in any way tainted by any real Hollywood business experiences. I never thought about, is this saleable? Is this commercial? Will this appeal to an actor? Is this something that somebody would put money behind? I just didn't even think about any of that stuff. I just wrote what I thought would be something that I would want to see.
You know, Adam, I got a good feeling from the moment I met him. He had written the script, so obviously he had a real vision of this world. And I don't think I saw any of your other films, but I just again, I thought the script was original. It had this, it was this kind of parallel universe, and I liked this world it was set in.
People that have seen the movie really like it. It's really a shame that it's just not been seen enough. Maybe that this will be the opportunity for more people to get to see it.
I think that we go through life and a project comes along like this, and if you have enjoyed a modicum of success in show business, in one field or another, singing, dancing, telling jokes, whatever, sometimes one thinks to oneself, I could be hurt by this. If it doesn't come off, it's not something I want on my resume. It's not something I'm going to brag about as the years go on. And I don't like apologizing for things I've done, artistically. And when I got the film, the script, the first time I read it, those were my concerns. And so I read it again, and the concerns dissipated. And by the third reading, they had gone away. And I don't think I've ever been more proud to be involved in a project as I was at that time.
Hey, shut the fuck up in there, would you? Come on, I'm trying to do an interview. Sorry. Bastards. If you don't shut up, I'm going to play the accordion. Oh, God. Just that accordion alone.
All right, there was a 15th anniversary screening of The Dark Backward at the ArcLight Cinema in Hollywood just recently, and in addition to myself and producer Brad Wyman, Bill Paxton and Judd Nelson were all in attendance, and there was a Q&A following the screening. And so we all got a chance to get together after having not seen each other for a while, and here is the Q&A from the 15th anniversary screening of The Dark Backward at the ArcLight Cinema in Hollywood.
Good evening. Thanks for having us. Boy, that was a trip down memory lane for us. Brad, you gonna sit down? What are you gonna do here?
And just ask you guys all, if you want to answer this question, just how did The Dark Backward get started? How did you get financing for this amazing movie?
Well, it actually took a while to get financed. I guess it took about 4 years to get financed from when it was written, which at that time seemed like a really long time to me. Now I know that's not so long. But I wrote it when I was 19, and soon thereafter I was very naive as to how movies got financed, but I did know that if you had the money to make a movie, you could actually make a movie. So it was the first script I'd ever written, and I just figured that I needed to find a rich person to finance it. so I very naively looked in the yellow pages for lawyers and doctors that had the biggest ads. And I thought, they're rich people, probably. And I would contact them to see if they would finance my movie. And a few of them very generously took meetings with me and told me that I was going about it all wrong, that I didn't know what I was doing. And so then I started submitting the script to some production companies. And one of the companies, small production companies, a PA there had read the script and said, and had gone to high school with Brad. And he said to Brad, our company will never make this movie, but I know you're a young producer trying to get stuff made. Maybe you'll like it. And so Brad read it and tracked me down somehow and said he liked it and wanted to try and help me get it financed and would produce it.
Adam passed. Adam just passed. He had no interest in working with me, just flat out passed.
It's true. I don't really remember quite why I passed, but I did actually. But then he sent a note that was really nice, and my mother said, you know, I don't know. He seemed like a nice guy. I don't think you should have passed. And I said, maybe you're right. So I called him back and I asked him if it was too late, and he said no. So.
And then we just turned down offer after offer after. People were just throwing money at us to do the picture, you know, one after another. And you know, finally we just, you know, said, what the heck, we'll go out and shoot the movie.
Actually, believe it or not, it was difficult to get the money to make it. But seriously, the way that the film got financed, it was very simple. Judd's name got it financed. Judd attaching himself to the movie got it financed. And but originally I didn't want Judd for the movie because I thought he's got a tough guy image and I didn't believe that he could play this character. But he convinced me that he could. And once he was attached, it was relatively easy to get financed because this company that was making lots of little movies at the time, I don't think read the script. I think they just said, okay, a very small amount of money, Judd Nelson, okay. And that was how it got financed. That was the initial way it got greenlit.
So why did you name it The Dark
Beautiful
Back?
story, Adam.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks for sharing that.
Why did you name it The Dark Backward, Adam?
I couldn't think of a title when I wrote it, and I came up with all sorts of horrible titles, and I had to call it something. So I just randomly opened this book of all of Shakespeare's plays up to a random page, and I closed my eyes and I pointed at a page, and I happened to point at 3 words in a sentence from The Tempest that said "The Dark Backward," and I said, okay, that's what I'll call it.
So, Judd, what attracted you to this script? Why did you want to do this movie?
Because Marty was really loyal to Gus. And reading the script, it was a fast, sweet world of weird, and Marty was a horrible guy. And I liked it a lot.
And Bill, what attracted you to this being Gus?
The script was original. It had this, you know, this carny circus thing with Hollywood, which I've always kind of, you know, associated with Hollywood. I mean, let's face it, it's a freak show out here. It's a circus. We're all on the merry-go-round. And this cartoonish kind of weird sensibility that the film had in terms of, it was almost like a weird childhood memory of these local television shows I remember watching as a kid, and hosted with people by the name, like one guy's name was Icky Twerp, and at the Slam Bang Theater, and they'd show these, it was kind of like the King Moody character in there. And I went in and I met Adam and Brad. I knew Judd was attached. Judd and I went to the same, we studied in New York with Stella Adler just about the same time. And we knew some teachers besides Stella in common, and I liked his work, and I knew where his background was, and you know, you don't get to do comedy very much, or I don't anyway. And I just, when I talked to Adam, he had written this thing, he had a real vision for it. you know, for me, the film is very well crafted. I got to say, all the main people, the cinematography and the art direction really created this world. Because I guess I was really curious, how are you going to get this world? It's cool, but if you don't create the world, if you can't go into it, then it's just not going to hold together. And then Brad had a great Hollywood sensibility about him. He knew a lot of Hollywood history. He was kind of a man after my own heart. I came out here because of the early silent filmmakers, I think. They were as big as inspiration. My father really loved films and took me to a lot of movies. And Brad knew all these film references. Adam had a great love of film. And I just saw it as a great opportunity to work with Judd. And again, like your answer, Judd, I love the idea of the buddy film, the kind of fraternal friendship. You know, Gus is not really a bad guy. He's just kind of amoral. He just doesn't really think, you know. My only reservation was that I couldn't pull it off in terms of physically. It was a lot of energy that had to be put into it. And my only regret is that I didn't have more energy. Sorry, it's a long answer.
We basically fooled both of them. They thought they were making a much different movie and had no idea what they were getting into. But somehow we pulled the wool over their eyes, and it was the luckiest moment for Adam and I. We couldn't have had a better Marty or Gus.
The rest of the cast, too, was amazing. All the people that kind of jumped in there. I mean, they have James Caan and Anna Berger and Rob Lowe and everybody who jumped in. Wayne Newton was...
Wayne Newton, give it up for Wayne.
Yeah, Wayne really steals the movie. He really wanted to get it right. And, I mean, he's a legend, let's face it. I mean, Wayne Newton, Judd Nelson, and Wayne Newton. I mean, come on. Who's not aboard for that ride? Talk about a circus sideshow. Who's going to be great?
And Wayne wanted to be here tonight, but he's in Australia, so... and Brad, what made you, what attracted you to being Brad in this movie? The producer of this film.
You know, it's the only reason that I really actually got into making motion pictures was to try to make movies that I felt were unique and original. And, you know, when I read The Dark Backward, obviously I felt it was extremely unique and original, but it is classical at the same time. I mean, there's something very classical about the Shaggy Dog story, and, you know, you root for this heroic journey, and when I thought, you know, actually the person that had written the script must have been like 60 or something, you know, and when Adam walked in with his looking probably exactly like he looks, you know, right now, you know.
He's wearing the same shirt.
Yeah.
Adam, I'm going to buy you a new T-shirt.
And, but it, you know, when he walked, I couldn't believe it. I mean, because it did feel like it had, you know, such an old, you know, soul behind it. And, you know, you know, I was hanging with Judd a bit, and, you know, I knew to get something like this done, we would need a lot of power. And of course, you know, it was Judd's energy that really got the picture made for us. And you know, he had been known for being, you know, in the Breakfast Club and being, you know, Mr. Cool, and I'm sure that was why he was also kind of interested. In fact, it took a while, though, for Adam to get it. And I think Judd actually, you know, started losing weight and took off his shirt for him, literally. And Adam said, "I think I get it." And I mean, you know, I love Judd's performance. It's so subtle, and it's constantly unique. And then, I mean, I was saying the same thing Bill was too, though. I mean, what a ride. I mean, how much fun. I was looking at the screen, and, you know, there's Bill in his red, and Jackie Chrome in his blue, and, you know, Judd in his lucky suit, and Rob Lowe standing in the background. And I mean, you look at all those colors and all those people, and I mean, that's why you do it. I mean, that's why you get up in the morning to try to fund movies and make movies, is to look at something and see it finished and go, wow. And, you know, it was a lot of fun. I'm glad that the script found my way, and fortunate that it came together, and, you know, with all these talented people.
So, Adam, what do you think the general reaction was when this movie was released?
Everybody hated it. Everybody still hates it, actually. It was pretty unanimously hated. When we screened it for the company that financed it finally, they, like I said, they hadn't read the script. They just thought, oh, for this amount of money and Judd, and then they were thrilled when they heard all the other names that were coming on board. They thought, wow, we're gonna make a fortune on this movie. Then they saw it and they were aghast, they hated it. And even with all those names, it still made zero money for them. And they were very angry at us. They still are angry at us. Even though the company doesn't exist, the people who used to work at the company are still angry at us.
So is anyone here pre-Dark Backward fans that actually heard of the movie and were fans of the movie? Right on. And post-Dark Backward fans, now that they've seen the movie? So pre-guys can clap along with these guys, too.
If you don't like it, it's okay. We're used to it, it's okay.
All right, right on. So any brave souls want to ask some questions? This guy right here.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate the entertainment tonight. First off, I have one question for Judd and for Bill. How old were you guys when you guys did this movie?
I was 50. 31, maybe? 31, maybe?
31, seriously. How about you, Bill?
I hate you guys doing the math.
No, it's not for math purposes.
I was 35 when we shot this.
Serious?
You're old, Bill.
Yeah, I'm old, baby. I'm old, but
Well, let me say those are those are very bold performances, gentlemen. Very bold indeed.
Thank you very much.
One last question. What does it take to get to that level? I mean, Bill, you had such like imaginable energy, and Judd was so controlled. Thank you for being honest. I appreciate that. Thanks.
Crack.
Anybody else?
Actually, I studied Michael Keaton's performance in Night Shift because I knew that if you're going to get off this boat, you had to really go all the way. And Judd was completely committed. I could see that from the get-go. And, you know, it was an environment where we supported each other. It was great. This movie came out at really the beginning of the whole independent movement. This was, what, 1990, I think, is when we shot the film, and it came out, I guess, the next summer. But it was a great atmosphere of camaraderie and support. And so, yeah, we were working without a net, and it shows. But, you know, it was great. We watched it earlier today. We did an audio commentary, and you know, I was kind of the fourth musketeer here. These guys were already in cahoots before I signed up, but you know, they brought me to the party, and today just going through the film and watching it and just remembering a lot of great laughs. And we shot it fast. I think it was like 21 or 22 days. Is that right? Something like that.
About 21 days, yeah.
You know, you have to commit and make choices, and in a way, there's a spontaneity, and it was an environment where, you know, you went for stuff, and I knew it was going to have to be very physical, but I just tried to you know, again, I just wish I had more energy, that's all.
This is a question for Adam. I wonder if you could talk about the evolution of the script, both before it got to Brad and then after into production.
Well, I wanted to make films ever since I was a little kid, and I had come out here from Chicago, and I knew that in order to direct, I had to have a script to direct. Otherwise, nobody was going to let me direct. And like I said, I was really young. I was 19, and I wanted to write. I knew that I couldn't get a lot of money to make a movie, being an unproven commodity. Well, I still can't get a lot of money to make a movie all these years later. But at that time, I knew for a fact I couldn't, and I knew that if I was going to have a small amount of money to make a movie, I didn't want to just make a genre movie, like a horror movie or an action movie. I wanted to do something that hopefully would stand out. And so I knew if I couldn't compete, you know, with big special effects or big explosions or big action scenes, that I wanted to at least do something that was unusual, that hopefully would garner some attention by just being different than most movies that are made. So I wanted to come up with something a little offbeat. A friend of mine wanted to be a stand-up comedian, and he wasn't a good friend, but he was an acquaintance, and he and his girlfriend took me to an open mic night when he was going to perform, and he was so unfunny, and it was so painful to watch. And it not only was depressing, but it made me feel hostile. because he put me in this position where I felt uncomfortable, and I resented him for it, you know? And so I thought this could potentially be a movie. So that's the germ of the idea. And then, you know, just little by little, other ideas would come to me. You know, I mean, one early idea was that the arm had a mind of its own and started killing people, but then I thought that was done a million times, obviously. So you know, it just little by little the ideas came together. But it was I wrote it very quickly. Once I sort of figured out I was gonna, okay, I'll do a movie about a stand-up comedian that grows 3 arms. Once I figured that out, I wrote it pretty quickly. But then, like I said, it took about 4 years to ultimately get it made.
No, I mean that. It's funny how an idea will come to a writer, and it might just be kind of a set piece, and then they kind of back the story into it. Like, how did it get that way? And then where does it go from there? You start with this idea, and it really does kind of germinate that way. And usually, most stories aren't written from the beginning. They're written like that, where an idea, you get a set piece idea. I know the author of Simple Plan, Scott Smith, the writer who wrote the script as well as the book, said he came up with this idea of a shootout in his house with his friends. Something goes wrong, and everybody kind of kills everybody, and then he backed it up. So that's a cool point. Should have put this stuff on the DVD. It's good. It's good.
This is going to be on the DVD.
Oh, okay, good. Even better. Marty!
Hey, Bill, I know...
Marty Malt, my friend!
I know you told this story 2 times today already, so I'm going to ask the audience, who wants to hear Bill's little escapade with the big gals story?
The gals were very game. They were very game. Two of the gals had worked in the adult entertainment. You know, they did those type of films. And, what do you mean? Oh well, use your imagination. But and the other gal, I think she was in Heathers. She'd been in a few films.
Martha Dump Truck from Heathers.
And I remember we were shooting that scene, and you know, it was just an orgy scene. I was supposed to jump on the bed. I'm talking about when we go over to Marty and want to try to share the booty, the bountiful booty. And the 2 gals from the adult films, you know, it was an orgy scene. Well, let's get down. Let's go. So he keeps the camera rolling on that master shot that's kind of just up looking down the whole scene. And man, it got a little uncomfortable in there. Got a little hot. Let me tell you, you got to see the outtakes of this movie. No, but it was weird. I was wondering when he was going to call cut, but I didn't want to break character or anything because, you know, this might be the only take we get. I mean, you know, we were shooting fast. But they really took the time to light. Anyway, I'm not going to the punchline. No, it's
right, okay. Yeah. Anybody else got a question?
Where was this movie shot? I mean, was it on a back lot or was it like locations?
It was shot, all of the interiors except for the coffee shop were sets, and they were built in a warehouse in Santa Monica. All of the exteriors were in downtown LA alleyways. And the dump was a scrap metal yard in San Pedro.
And Bill's got a house there, so no.
That body was already there, right?
Oh yeah. That body was outstanding.
Actually, if I may, there's a funny anecdote about the dead girl.
Is that body here, Adam?
I don't know. Val, is Nina here?
Is
Oh,
Nina
wow.
here?
Oh. Well. The girl who originally was cast to play the dead girl in the dump, between the time she was cast and the time she showed up, had gotten this giant boob job. And we were down shooting, and she was up at base camp getting into the dead makeup, and when I came up to say hi, and she opened the robe to show me the makeup, she had these giant boobs that she hadn't had before, and I just didn't think that was gonna be right for the movie. So we told her that we were cutting the scene. We told her we were cutting the scene, and we bribed the hair girl from the movie to do the new
we passed the hat. We did. We passed the hat, and I think.
What, did you give her like $1,000 or something like that?
I don't know. I think it was Judge Per Diem that put it over.
Few
talked
shots of Jack Daniels.
Yeah, then everyone like surrounded her, got her drunk, and you know, and she did the scene with you, Bill. Bill always says that's the scene too, that you know.
Demarcation
that's
line.
that's the fans from. We usually get about half the audience walking out at that moment.
Or more like climbing over each other to get to the exit. Like somebody yelled fire in the theater.
That was a struggle, keeping that scene in the movie. It seemed that was people were very uncomfortable with it, and, well, you know, we like it, but, you know, there's, you know, the dead body, the licking of the breasts. And it seemed to me that it was essential that people be able to withstand that, to get through it. Yeah, I mean, it's not being sensational for the sake of being sensational. You have to, in order to follow what is in fact a very beautiful story, you know, you got to be able to, you know, shrug off some rain like a duck.
There was there's kind of a Dickensian vibe through the whole story too that I like. That kind of
whatever.
19th century where you see these characters out of like A Christmas Carol, or, you know, Scrooge, and you know, it's so plain what they're after. There's no facade. You know, we're all so politically correct now. Oh God, we don't hurt his feelings. Fuck that. Back in those days, hey, screw it. Hey, look at the cripple. You know, that's the way it was. You know, people have evolved a long way. This movie's kind of all about the de-evolution that we've now kind of started.
We never should have let Bill see this film again, you know?
It's like Aqualung or something.
Just want to let you know, I saw this movie opening night at the New Ark.
Bravo!
Thank you.
I love this movie, and I make everybody watch it.
I thought that was you.
18 years old, and I love the scene with the dead body.
One of the highlights of my career. Maybe that and playing Chet. I think those are the two. You know, James Caan told me it was Godfather and Dark Backwards. I mean, and he wasn't sure which one he was going to put first. I got to tell you.
What's with Blumps?
But the idea I wanted the film to feel timeless and placeless, and I wanted to have its own, be in its own sort of alternate universe. So I didn't want to have any recognizable product names or company names. And so Blumps was sort of the acme of this world. It was just this Orwellian company that made everything, anything edible, if you look at the movie, the Blumps logo is on the stove, and it's on the accordion, and it's on the food, and it makes everything. And that was just kind of a way to give it its own reality. You know?
Blumps was the original name for Starbucks. You know, somehow that pork juice just didn't go down with that Lottie too well.
A couple quick Blumps side notes, though. The Blumps face is Adam's grandmother, Libby Sokol. It's also in the movie as the bandaged person, so in the waiting room, but that's where the figure came from. And when we were looking for the name, Blumps was first said by a wonderful animator named David Silverman, who was one of the original directors and creators of The Simpsons with those guys. And he was the first one to actually say the word Blumps.
Yeah, we had a meeting where we just sat around and said, all right, what can we name this company? And we just came up with all these stupid names, and then he just went, Blumps. And we all went, yeah, okay, that sounds about right.
Adam also put his mother in the film as the seamstress. Adam put his sister in the film as the cigarette girl.
He put my father in the film.
Bill's father's in the film. His grandfather's in the film, plays Apples Yonahan, the man of a thousand faces. And I like the fact that I think Bill and I knew pretty early that if he's going to mistreat his family like that, that we're going to work hard.
This was the first
first time I ever saw this film or even heard of this film, and I love it. It's twisted as hell.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Great.
Dance of the Demented.
How much did you have to change anything during the script, or did you pull it totally?
There's only 2 changes in the script that occurred from the original draft to what you saw. The original ending didn't have him telling jokes that related to his experience. The original ending was he just told the same stupid jokes and he didn't learn anything and nobody laughed again. And we thought that was just a little too nihilistic. And then the only other thing that changed in the script, and I don't remember, Brad, maybe you'll remember, if it was taken out because we thought it was too disgusting or because we couldn't afford to do it right. But there was a scene in the original script where I think Nicolette pops a zit into Gus's mouth. I don't.
It was just too technically difficult to shoot, I think.
Now that's tasteless.
I missed that now that you recall. I missed that. We should have shot that.
We should have shot that.
She was game.
Adam, how did you know which hand to use or which arm, like left or right? I know you picked left, but why?
Well, we actually spoke about that, and if you are fortunate enough to get a third arm, how awful if you're right-handed, you get a left one. So Marty was right-handed, so it made perfect sense. Give him a second left arm. Just not his day. Yeah. It just seemed to be more consistent with things not going so well for Marty.
What was the budget like for the film, and what did you shoot?
We're still paying.
The budget was well under $1 million. It was realistically, we probably actual numbers spent making the film, not wasted money on bond company fees and stuff like that.
Bond?
Bond.
Oh.
We probably had about $600,000 or $700,000 to make the film. We shot it in about 21 days.
Judd took half of that, so there wasn't much left.
And immediately gave it to Wayne.
Hi guys, really quick question, actually. Whether it's your taste or not, I could, congratulations on your commitment that you put into this. It's fascinating, but 2 quick questions. Have you seen Forbidden Zone? If you haven't, see it. And is there anywhere I can read the script that you originally wrote? Do you have it anywhere that someone can pull it down and read it?
I don't know. I mean, it might be available at, like Samuel French or something like that. Target. I don't think I have a copy of it.
If you give Matt all your information, we'll figure out how to get you one.
There must be one somewhere.
We have.
Bill's got his original script. And all his little notes and drawings.
We have copies somewhere. What was the first question? Forbidden Zone. Oh yeah, we've all seen Forbidden Zone.
I haven't seen it. But thank you for the tip. I'll get it tonight,
Brad produced Freeway as well. That was Matt.
Yeah, Matt stars and co-wrote Forbidden Zone.
I'm a stand-up comic about 20 years, and
Sorry.
Just to reiterate, you saw a guy that sucked, and so 4 years to make a movie.
Say again.
You saw a guy that sucked, and that pushed you forward to make a movie through 4 years?
Well, that's what gave me the germ of the idea, and I wrote it relatively soon thereafter. It took 4 years to get the money to get the movie
I do want
made.
to say, I commend all of you. I think it's really an out there script, and it's out there characters, and to go after something like that, and to what you believe in, and really make it something that you want to put up there and create. I think that's beautiful, and I was
Thank you.
Thanks.
just joking. And if I can, a really quick little aside. A guy walks into a bar. No, wait. With a duck under one arm and a salami on the other, and I never know the answer, and I need to know. You know.
There is no answer. There was no text at all. I proposed the idea that I should tell an outrageous joke, but before I get to the punchline, fall through the ceiling so I don't have to have the end of it. The director said if I could do one silently, he would let me do one with a joke that gets interrupted. So I did one with a joke that got interrupted. He said that is completely unusable because it was a bit blue. And then I did a second version, and he liked that. But there is no punchline, and I'm sorry.
Been with me for years.
Use your imagination. Salami. Duck.
Something about noise and wet.
That's the dark backward.
Hi. Just to let you know, first of all, that my wife dragged me to this, and she saw it originally, and said you have to see this, and then she read me the description, and I said I have to see this, and then she read me the reviews, and I said I have to see this. But I have to say, I absolutely loved it. I thought the characters were amazing. I just have a two-part question. First part, did you actually write the thing with Wayne Newton's mustache in the movie? Or was that was all him?
That was him. What happened was, we offered Wayne a cameo in the film. We thought it would be an amazing thing if we could get Wayne Newton to play Jackie Crone, but we knew he would never do that. But we just thought he should be in the movie, because the movie really sort of celebrates showbiz, you know what I mean? And so we thought that it would be fabulous just to have him in it somewhere. And we sent him the script, and he contacted us back and said, I'll only do it if I can play Jackie Crone, which we were thrilled about. But he said that he had shaved his mustache, and is that okay? And I really wanted him to have his mustache. And he said, well, what if I draw it on? And it's always a little wrong. And then at one point in the movie, when I'm ruined and I'm heartbroken, and I rub my hands over my face and I smear it off, would that be okay? I said, that's great. I love that.
Thank you, Dr. Shane.
One shot actually where it's totally missing, and his line is something's missing here.
The other quick question I have, this is for Bill. I've seen a lot of your work from Alien all the way up to Big Love, which my wife and I are a huge fan.
Woo! Thank you.
My question that my wife and I have discussed this in depth is, do you have it in the contract that you have to show your butt in almost everything you do?
Yeah, something like that. But you know, body makeup really makes a difference. It really does. If you're gonna put it out there, make sure you use body makeup. Yes. Otherwise, it'll look like green cheese. Unless you have a real good color timeless with a DI. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. You know, I think we're all kind of character actors trapped in a way. Getting to do something like this, you know, Judd was doing films, I was doing films, but you don't get to kind of, you know, go off the deep end with something like this very often. And again, you know, it was because of the environment that Adam and Brad and everybody who got involved kind of created that we just kind of went for it. It was a lot of fun. It's been a great day, kind of remembering, you know, a lot of laughs. I mean, there's so much that's not in the film. You have no idea, or maybe some idea.
Question over here. Where did you get the animation for that faux
The
commentary?
animator of that animation is in the audience tonight. His name is Dan Povenmire.
Yeah, Dan, all right.
Dan Povenmire has gone on to do not very much that you'd have ever heard of. He animates a show. He's a director on a show called Family Guy.
My son's favorite.
Prior to that, SpongeBob, worked on The Simpsons, tons and tons of other stuff, and he just sold his own show to Disney called Phineas and Ferb.
Right on. Rock on.
So it didn't destroy everyone.
Yeah, one person succeeded.
Come on, Brad.
You can still get arrested in this town.
I can get arrested, yes.
All right, one more question from the audience.
All right.
Someone close. Here we go.
Make it a 12-parter so we can keep Bill here late. Come on, Bill.
Bill,
Three
what
women
was in
waiting?
that bowl? And on the chicken.
Oh, the chicken was
Well, the
sweet.
chicken was, they kind of mold, they got these drumsticks, they kind of put this oatmeal around it, and they kind of poured some different baby foods on it. Well, the weird thing was, when I would bite into it, my body would have this reaction. It's like it was an animal reaction that this wasn't, this texture's not right. It really kind of tricked, I couldn't override my conscious mind, not thinking I shouldn't be biting this texture. And so I'm actually really retching in the thing. I had terrible, terrible dry heaves. And in the punch bowl, that was like some kind of weird bean dip thing. And I remember there was a bay leaf in there, and I've always been terrified of bay leaves because I turned blue choking on one time, and that's what I take out of there. I just thought, you know, I better be careful with the bay leaf here. I don't want to do that again.
Well, it's amazing. There's a lot of, we had to do those sections with the chicken a few times. Bill's reaction the first few times when that stuff got into his mouth was, it was incredibly funny. And it's just a shame that it didn't really work for the story because it was perfect.
I was hoping that he would throw up.
Yeah.
Because I would have kept shooting.
And he would have filmed it.
And he had a slight malfunction with his garbage suit in that scene. There seemed to be a
Wardrobe
little
malfunction.
Yeah, he had a little hole at the bottom of the zipper area, and wasn't quite sure what we were all seeing. So
Thank God it didn't show up in the wide shot.
Well, there's no real chance of that there, is there, Bill?
No, none whatsoever. Thank God.
I can't think of a better way to end that on that note. So
on that happy note.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up again.
Thank you.
for Cast
You've been
Dark
really
Backwards.
honored. Thank you.